Bambiz Marketing presents Elder Law Growth, the podcast that helps elder law and estate planning attorneys attract clients without wasting time or money. I'm your host, Amy Hurst. Let's dive in. Hey, Elder Law Growth listeners, we are live in Mexico. Things are going to be a little bit different in this podcast episode. As you can tell, we are in a completely different room. I'm with Nicole. She's our social media manager here at Bambiz. So things are going to be different. We're on a team retreat down here in Mexico. We're trying to come up with wonderful, new, innovative ideas that will make your experience with us that much better. So we're shooting our podcast here in Mexico. And for this podcast, the beginning one we're starting out with is with Nicole. And she's going to share her number one tip, the things that she is seeing in social media for attorneys. The one thing that attorneys need to focus on. So what would that be?
So I would say my biggest tip moving into 2024 for attorneys to have at the top of their mind when it comes to social media, it can kind of fall on the back burner. Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of people just don't have the time to do it, and that's completely understandable. But utilizing social media can really boost your law firm in ways that you might not have seen before. But the biggest thing that attorneys should be utilizing moving into 2024 is on social they should be authentic. And they should be engaging with their clients and potential clients. So that's the biggest tip, is authenticity and engagement. Those are the two things to take into 2024 with social media.
So authenticity and engagement. So let's talk about engagement first.
Right.
So when it comes to engagement, what are you meaning with engagement? Like replying to every comment that you see?
So I don't really think it's necessary to respond to every comment, but if you have a workshop and it's going fantastic and somebody says, "Hey Bob, I really love that workshop you did. You really helped me." It would be fantastic to hear from you, because maybe they're not a client yet. Maybe they want to be a client, but they're not sure about you yet. So just responding back and be like, "Hey, Carol, it was great to see you. I'm so glad that you came out. We would love to speak to you more. Give us a call. We'd love to have hear your questions, hear your thoughts, get some feedback from you."
Oh, man.
Just being really 100% yourself, and just showing that there's actually a person behind the firm, that they're not just out there for that money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just about building that relationship
right.
with whoever comes to your workshops, comes to your social media, joins your newsletter. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's just being real and sending out that extra message saying, "Hey, I see you, I hear you, I'm so glad that you found me first. Let's keep getting to know each other." So that is engagement. Right. So that kind of wraps in with your first point, was being authentic.
Right. So a lot of what I've come across watching attorneys for the number of years I've been here at Bambiz and, helping our pro clients with their social medias and whatnot, is seeing that they're trying so hard to be this perfect person online that they're forgetting that they're human. They make mistakes. They are funny. Some of them are very funny, and they don't show that. And people really relate to someone just being themselves more than they relate to someone just standing in a stuffy suit going, "Come on in," they really want to see the person and the family person, or the just kind-hearted soul that really got into elder law or estate planning specifically to help people.
Oh man, you remind me, I just did a great recording with a elder law attorney. He was so tired and he had a cup of coffee. And he said that he had his 3 kids in bed with him the night before, so it was really hard for him to think about the podcast and recording the podcast. And it was just those moments where I'm like, these attorneys are real. Right. And it would be so good for their future clients to see that online. Just to see that, yes, they're real, they're tired, they have kids, they have family, they're real people too. They're not just suits.
Right. And I think something that I stress a lot of the times to our clients, and even to our team, is that, this is a long game. It's not, we're building relationships with social media. This is not necessarily where all the money and things are going to come out of. That's not what it's about. It's about letting your clients trust you before they even get to talk to you. They should feel like they already know you, because you post your family, you post your team, you love your firm, you love the people that work with your firm, you love doing what you do. And sometimes that can get missed in not being authentic and posting an ad every 5 seconds or
just education only based content.
Information overload. People just they want to see your team. They want to see what you love doing at your firm, that you're helping in your community, that you guys are out and about doing things. Not just that you care about their dollar, but you care about them and their lives and the future lives that you're going to be protecting.
Absolutely. People need to see that.
Right.
Like, you could be, you went to law school and you've learned so much and you worked so hard to become an elder law or an estate planning attorney. But what people want most is the real you. Mm-hmm. They want to be able to trust you first. That's what Nicole was saying, is that they want to trust you first and know who you are personally first, because they're trusting you with their family issues. You're basically going to become their therapist.
Essentially.
So if you show the real you more often, kind of like the attorney with he showed up to the podcast with a cup of coffee and he was so tired and he said, my kids crawled into bed with me, and it's just life. If you show more of you.
Relatable. But I think too that sometimes people tend to forget that social media is not a one-way channel. It is a two-way channel. And so it's social. It is social media. Like, there should be conversations had. There should be less automation in it. Like, it should be one-to-one contact. Like, it should be, us having a conversation. Like, you should be able to know your clients, coming back to them. Like, even if you're like a smaller firm and you don't have as many clients, you can post, happy birthday to Bill and Mary from 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like 20-year anniversary or something like that. Like, being connected with your clients can keep retention.
Absolutely.
And can save you time in the long run, because they already know you. They already love your firm. You're not having to go, hey, trust me with your family and your lives. Like, that you're building that ahead of time.
Absolutely. Especially with the generations.
Right.
Like with their kids and then their grandkids and...
Right.
Absolutely. Well, so the big takeaways for social media: be authentic.
Right.
And engage.
Yep. On
social media. You heard it right from the horse's mouth. Social media. She runs our social media for all of our clients. She knows what will work on social media. So, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, we got Lexi here with us. She's part of the team, and she's got some really good tips for all the DIYers out there. Lexi.
I have 10 tips if you want to do all of your marketing yourself if you're a elder law and estate planning attorney. These are my top DIY tips so that you can dominate the market in 2023. I got a bunch of different trends, and we're going to get into it.
All right, for all the DIYers out there, these are the top tips to pay attention to from Lexi on her team. She's also the senior manager, so she sees all of it. So the DIYers, let's get started. What's tip number 1?
All right, tip number 1, crushing it with LinkedIn content. So we want to be posting 2 to 3 times a day to establish a real presence on LinkedIn. As you're posting 2 to 3 times a day, you have to be tracking what type of posts and what type of content resonate with your audience and what's starting to get trending. If you do this, you can start to flood your firm with leads.
So 2 to 3 times a day, not 2 to 3 times a week.
2 to 3 times a day on LinkedIn.
2 to 3 times a day on LinkedIn. I wonder why such a high volume.
Because as you're growing your audience, you need a lot of content out there, and while you're trying to figure out what resonates best, throwing a lot of little breadcrumbs out there, you can start to see what your little fishies out there gravitate towards, and then over time you can hone down what exactly your audience is interested in and do more of that content. And when you're doing it yourself, you're lifting everything from the ground up, so it is a little bit of work off the front end, off the bat, but you get some good momentum going.
Absolutely.
All right, so tip number 2, authenticity and humility in the digital world.
How do you be humble in the digital world? What?
Well, it works in real life. Being genuine and humble and just human in real life works, so of course it's going to work online as well. And doing that online is going to differentiate you from the pack, and it's going to establish trust and help you build connections with people that you don't know in real life. So it's almost twice as important to be human online because you're not there in person.
Right.
And by embracing vulnerability, which is really difficult, you can make that connection one-on-one with your audience, sharing personal experiences of how you've helped people. People love stories. And all that makes you feel authentic. And by being humble, you seem like somebody that is really good to work with.
Actually, I just did a really great podcast with an attorney, Lauren Klein. She had a great story about something like this. It's like, people need to hear these kind of stories. How she'll just go to it's for the older generation. She'll go to their houses and work, or because she has little kids, they'll come to her house, and it's almost as if like she's opening up her home and her family to her clients. And as she was telling me this, it's like, that is so vulnerable.
Yeah.
That is so authentic, and that is so real. But I was like, wow, she opened up her home, and her, little kids. She has a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, so it was like, wow.
And especially for like elder law and estate planning, the client is being vulnerable with you. They're opening up all these details of their personal lives to you. So, meet them back where they are and be vulnerable in exchange. All right, tip number 3, documenting success. So you want to start thinking every time you have a successful encounter with a client, you help them overcome obstacles, or you've created a plan for them moving forward. When you have big results, you got to document those results. And so something I've been thinking about is you're going to tell those stories at your workshops, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to be sharing those stories already with the workshops. You have an audience in front of you already. So why not film that? You're documenting those success stories that you're already sharing with people in real life. You film it, and then you can repurpose that content online.
Yes.
You can chop it up into reels, shorts for YouTube, and even turn it into a podcast like we're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right?
Work smarter, not harder.
And documenting it, and just being able to use that. Every little drop helps. Absolutely.
And if you can do this, you can really start to skyrocket your online presence because you're repurposing the work that you're already doing, right? Anytime you're in front of clients, educating, you can be filming that. You're going to really see that growth because as you're DIYing all your marketing, you really want to maximize all of your efforts, all of your energy. Winning the attention game.
That's so hard, especially online. How do we win the attention game? There's so many people in the same pond. How do we do that?
Exactly. Early adoption of new platforms.
Oh.
This is something we saw with Threads recently.
Yeah.
Everybody rushed over to Threads because they were afraid of missing out. What is over there? So if you're doing all your marketing, you want to be looking out for avenues where you can be the first person on that platform because it's easy to grab up some attention in a smaller pond.
Sure.
And if you are in that pond when it's first starting out, you have better chances of becoming a big fish.
Absolutely. It's kind of like how on YouTube, there's already some pretty heavy lifters on YouTube in terms of estate planning, so it's kind of hard to kind of pave your way unless you have people to help you, of course, as a DIYer. But I love this tip of the early adoption for those of you who are doing this on your own, to jump in that pond before it's really nice and small.
Yeah, and when the pond is small, you're a big content creator. Because on these platforms like Facebook, for instance, Facebook relies on the users to make the content.
Right.
They're providing the platform, but the people using it are creating the content. So if you jump in early on the game, you're edging out your competitors just by being there and being consistent.
And your content does not have to be perfect. You just have to keep being consistent, showing up. Absolutely.
Human is imperfect. All right. Building a content powerhouse. Scaling your team. Having a dedicated team to help you scale your content creation efforts.
How do we do that?
So we want to DIY, right? We want to do it ourselves. But if we're also a small business owner, we may be wearing too many hats. We may need a team So if we have a team internally, we have a marketing person, we can start to expand our reach across multiple channels. And you may have to have a couple people. You may need someone who's developing content. You may need somebody who's doing some graphic design. And together with that team, you can have a really comprehensive content strategy online. The gratitude advantage, fueling success.
Yes.
So by practicing gratitude and embracing positive perspectives, you can really supercharge your brand's growth in the digital age. Marketing is all about connection, and workshops are all about connection. So sharing those personal stories of not only how you've helped people, but how they've impacted you, and the gratitude that you have for the community that has trusted you with your services. You come into their lives, you make big impacts, but also that couldn't happen to begin with if the client didn't trust you, if the family didn't trust you. So showing gratitude and saying thank you to your clients, even before they become clients, even when they're sitting in the workshop. Just expressing the gratitude that they came there, they took the time out of their day. That's going to really set you apart online and in person.
That kind of ties into one of your earlier tips of being vulnerable.
Being vulnerable, being grateful, all positive things. Who wouldn't want to work with somebody like that? And a great way to do that is to show gratitude, because we want people, when they're leaving our workshops or scrolling out of our content, to feel positive and to feel empowered to take action, make change in their life.
Absolutely.
Curiosity and accountability.
Okay.
Embracing the content journey. So we want to be curious, try new things, but we also need to be accounting, be flexible, but we also want to take good notes and be tracking what are we trying, what's working, what's not working, as we explore new content formats, new platforms, and so also being accountable to being consistent, because consistency is way more important than perfection.
Oh yeah, and people don't want perfect anyway. So
That's true.
absolutely. So how do we be accountable?
So the ways that I'm accountable when I make content is I like to keep a spreadsheet or even just a Word document of what I'm going to try, and then after I've tried it and I've put it out there to reflect after a week or so and say, okay, was this successful? Did I get any leads? And how did I feel about it afterwards? It doesn't have to be super scientific or anything crazy, but just taking a moment of reflection after we tried something new to give it a score of 1 out of 10. All right, ROI, but beyond dollars and cents. So we talk a lot about ROI in marketing. That's return on investment.
Right.
So it's easy to track that in certain marketing ventures. So maybe it's a lead magnet or a direct mail campaign. You can kind of track that really easily. But when you're DIYing your marketing efforts, you're doing a lot of things that can't be tracked. So there are intangible benefits of social media and content marketing: brand growth, client relationships. So as you're DIYing your marketing efforts, be tracking what you spent and how well that you think that turned out. So what you spent, how many leads you got. But there's a lot you can't track with dollars and cents.
Sure.
So we need to kind of have a different mindset of it's not all cost and then leads. There's a lot you can't track. So what do we value? Do we value making those connections and those partnerships? Do we value helping people? Is that part of our return on investment? Our energy and our time gets put out and we get connections in return. Is that valuable too? I definitely think it is. All right. In it for the long haul. The power of commitment. If you are going to do all of your marketing yourself, you are in it for the long haul. If you're going to open a business, you are in it for the long haul. So it's important to be persistent in content creation. So we want to be consistent and then persistent. This will give you long-term rewards. So if you are going to start a marketing content strategy from the ground up, Having the expectation that in 30 days or 90 days you're going to see tremendous growth is probably not realistic. You want to have like a long-term persistent mindset. There's a saying that persistence pays off, right? Mm-hmm. And in a lot of industries, persistence is better than talent. You may not be particularly talented to begin with at marketing, and that's okay, because if you're persistent, it will definitely pay off. This is a good one, Amy. This is my favorite. Balancing personal and professional. We want to create meaningful connections. And so, especially as an attorney, you have to be professional. You have to be so professional because people need to trust you. They need to trust your expertise. But you also have to be personal, especially in elder law and estate planning, because it's personal business.
It's personal to them, especially.
So we want to explore the magic of incorporating personal interests into content to connect with potential clients on a human level.
Okay.
And this is going to enhance your firm's brand image. And so each of us as business owners, as content creators, it is a challenge, but you have to find that unique balance between personal and professional.
Absolutely, because your clients are taking a big risk in being personal with you. It reminds me of one of the clients that we have. She is obsessed with dogs. Obsessed. And she loves her dogs, and she wants to make sure that her dogs are on her social media. And she asked if that was okay, and we were like, yes! Post your dogs! Post your kids if you want to. Post the people that you work with. I mean, I tell you, one of the attorneys that I watch on TikTok, she's a home run. She gets so much engagement off of these videos because all she does is that she just holds her phone out like this, and she's just walking down her street, and she's just saying, hey, I just had this client just asked a really good question today, and they asked me this, and I said yada yada yada, and then that's the end of the video. And man, she gets so much engagement because she's just holding a camera out. She looks like a normal person. She's just going for a walk. Sometimes her dog's there. And she's just being real, and she's answering a question super fast, very short and easy, and she's being professional. She's answering a question, but she's also being personal.
I love those videos.
Mm-hmm.
I watch them, and I feel like I've gone for a walk.
Right? Oh, I know. And she lives in such a beautiful area, so it's like, oh, this is so nice.
It's kind of like a slice of life even, day in the life of your favorite elder law or estate planning attorney.
I know that's such a big jump for a lot of you out there to show your personal selves, but that's what people want.
I love that. 2024. They don't want perfect. They just want you.
Yes! Please show more selfies when you're walking down your street, and that's what'll work.
So those were my 10 tips and tricks for dominating in 2023 and into 2024 for all our DIYers.
Now that is a heck of a ton of work, though.
A lot of work.
As a DIYer, that is so much. That's like a full-time job.
It's a full-time and a half job to run your practice and do all of your marketing.
Absolutely. So we are here for you if you do need help. We have so many free resources on our website, bambiz.net. And we also have this podcast where we're giving out as much free information as possible because we know that a lot of you are stretched and wearing all the hats. So please keep listening to the podcast. Please keep watching our videos. We're going to keep handing out freebies for you guys out there. And if you ever have any questions, send us a message anyway, team@bambiz.net, and any one of us would be happy to help you. So Lexi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the Elder Law Growth Podcast, the place to be for all things marketing for elder law and estate planning law firms. If you liked this podcast, please leave us a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. If you'd like to outsource your marketing to our team, go to bambiz.net and book a free call with us today.